Today we want to talk about taking the pain out of scaling your business using SurPaaS. So scaling your business, how do you do this? Add more customers, offer more applications and services, offer billing schemes based upon customer needs, host applications in the cloud, automate processes such as onboarding new customers, automate the billing process, automate application management processes. Next, please. So do you have customers in multiple time zones, customers with multiple applications, Mifos 6, Mifos X, others, and applications with multiple versions, customers with customizations, trouble keeping track of application patches. So today we're going to talk about how Corent SurPaaS will be able to help you with all these issues to help you grow your business. Just a little bit of background on Corent. Our SurPaaS product was reviewed by the Wall Street Journal, and as well as the Windows Azure. We're working with Microsoft for hosting our product on their cloud. Dell Services is a partner of ours that is using our technology to enable their customers to take their legacy applications and get them up and running in the cloud quickly, and as well as for those who are interested in operating in a SaaS environment. And then here are a few testimonies from some of our partners: Amazon Web Services, IBM, as well as Oracle. I don't know if it was mentioned, but we will provide this presentation after the webinar. So you can review this, and if you have any questions, you can contact Jay or myself, and we'll be happy to answer them. So what is SurPaaS? SurPaaS is a platform.
There are 15 other callers on the call.
So SurPaaS that will help you manage your business in the cloud very effectively by being able to onboard new customers, provide the ability to define your commercial offering by defining subscriptions for your application, as well as give you the ability to manage your applications from a central management console, which we call our Saas-Cockpit. So managing your business with SurPaaS is as easy as installing, signing up for SurPaaS, installing your application under the guidance of SurPaaS. We call that the registration process. And then we go through a process we call SaaSification. And in this SaaSification process, you're able to define your SaaS tenancy model. And what this means is, for your application, do you want to offer it as virtual tenancy? Virtual tenancy is where each of your customers would have their private environment in the cloud where they can run the application. They're not sharing the application with anybody. They're not sharing the infrastructure with anybody. It's totally isolated. And the second model that we support is multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy is the ability to take a single-tenant application and a single-tenant web-based application and make it multi-tenant with little or no changes to your application, and this can be done very quickly. Usually takes about 1 to 4 weeks for an application to transform it, what we call transform it into multi-tenancy. And the benefit of multi-tenancy is that it gives you the ability to spread the cost of providing your application as a service across all of your customers versus having that cost just be for one customer. So you're sharing your infrastructure and you're sharing the application for all your tenants. And then the third thing that you're able to do within the SaaSification process is define your commercial model. What this allows you to do is specify how you're going to deploy your application, and for each deployment method that you define, you can specify what the cost is for the customer signing up for the application using that deployment method. So I could have an application, and by defining multiple deployment methods, that allows you to specify what cloud you're going to deploy it in, what location, data center location of the cloud, as well as the size of the virtual machine that you're going to use in the cloud, and then you can associate the commercial model for that, which we call a subscription. And that subscription can have initial setup cost as part of it, the monthly recurring cost. If you want to provide your application in a trial mode, you can specify what that would look like, how many days the trial is, if it's a free trial or if it's a paid trial. So the cloud management services that we provide with this is the ability for you to specify what clouds you want to use. We support today probably about a dozen clouds, and you have the ability to specify the cloud locations where you want to run your service. And then also within that, you can specify the size of the instance in the cloud that you want to use for your application. And you can have different size instances that you use for your application. Slide 13. So, and when we, the type of clouds that we can support are public clouds, private clouds. So if you want to host your service in a private cloud for only your customers, there are companies, multiple companies that provide that capability, so you can host your application in a private cloud versus a public cloud for additional security. Next slide. So how do you get there with this? You know, taking our SurPaaS platform and your application, how do you get your application into service to where you can manage it effectively and provide the services that you need for your customers? So the first step is to register your application within SurPaaS. So you define yourself as a SaaS provider within SurPaaS, and then the next step would be to define the commercial offerings associated, and then next you're ready to start registering new tenants or customers. This is the SaaS Management Console, so once you register as a SaaS provider within SurPaaS, this is the first screen that you would see, and this gives you a summary of your environment. So it will show you things like how many tenants that you have, what subscriptions that they're using, geographically, what's the distribution of your customers, and then you can also see for customers that are running in a VM, you can look at their individual VM to see how the VM is working for them, if they need to upgrade to a larger VM, or if they need more storage, things of that nature. And then going across the top, you have the application tab is where you would register your application, your tenant tab, which allows you to see how many customers have registered for your service. Cloud tab is where you're able to define the clouds that you want to operate in. Subscriptions is your commercial model. And then there's the administration tab that gives you the ability to customize your environment. So registering your application on SurPaaS is the first step. You go to the application tab, and it gives you the ability to create your application. So you define it by giving your application a name, and the first step that you do is you go through and you create a profile of what your application is. Is it a, do you want to have a virtual tenant offering for your application or a multi-tenant deployment for your application? The technology that the application is based on, is it Java, PHP, .NET, or Python? What type of application server do you use? Is it a WAMP, LAMP, or XAMPP stack? As well as, is it a standard web application, or is it client-server application? So if it's a client-server application, we would run that in its own VM, allowing each customer to access their VM to provide the service. Once you have defined the application profile, after you've defined the application profile, then, do we have a question from the group?
Oh no, someone new just
Once
came on,
you define
David.
your
So.
application profile. Okay. Once you define the application profile, then what you do is you define the application template to say, and the template is the topology of the application, how you want to offer it. So let's say, for example, the simplest method of offering an application is putting your application and database into a single cloud instance. Then, and at this point, you would define the application template with that model. So here I've defined an application template, I've given it a description, I've specified the number of instances that it has, in this case 1, but I can also create a application template that has multiple instances. For example, I could have a template that says my application, I have an instance for my application, as well as I have an instance for my database. So therefore, that would be something that would give me a little more scalability. And I can make this as complicated or as simple as I want to. And for each application, I can have a multiple, as I said, multiple application templates. So based upon the simplest, what we would implementation, the next step would be to subscribe to an instance in the cloud of your choice where you can go to do the SaaSification of your application. So here I'm selecting an instance that gives me the size. It tells me it's a Windows server, the memory size, as well as the hard disk size. And typically there would be a price associated with it based upon the cloud provider's cost for providing that instance. Now this instance that you're creating is a temporary instance where you're going to either virtualize your application, or it can be a permanent instance where you're going to transform your application for multi-tenancy. Once you have the instance created, the next step is to take your application and install it in the instance that's provided. So that would be your application server, your application, and your database. You would install that into the cloud instance. Once it's installed and tested to make sure it's running properly, then at that point we can go through and define the application parameters associated with your application. So authentication URL, home URL, logout URL, as well as a few other fields. And this information, this is the first step in the SaaSification process for a application that I'm going to run as a virtual tenant application, meaning that every customer will get their own private VM. And once I've installed my application, provided the basic parameters around the application, then I can create what we call a deployment model or deployment flavor. And what this provides us is the ability to say, I have my application template which defines the structure on how I want to deploy my application, meaning the number of instances that I will have, but the deployment flavor says where I'm going to deploy it. So what cloud am I going to use? What cloud data center am I going to use? What size instance will I use? And then we can take this and in a subsequent step, we can associate this with a subscription. So I may run in multiple clouds because I have customers in different regions of the world. And each cloud may have different costs associated with it. So we have the ability, by creating deployment flavors that specify the cloud location and the size of the instance, I can also associate what the commercial terms are for that subscription based upon that information. So this is where I start defining what those commercial terms are. I give it the subscription a name, and I give it a description. I set the start date, the end date. That means this is when the first time a customer will be able to sign up for the subscription, and the end date specifies when I want to stop offering that subscription. And then I associate it with an application, the application template, and the application deployment flavor. If I have any restrictions on the number of users that are able to use that subscription, I can specify that at this time. And then there's some billing setup information. So do I want to charge a setup fee for this? Also, do I want to, I can specify the trial period. If I want to have a trial period, if you put in 0, then there's no trial period. And then as well as I can specify what the the cost is on a monthly basis, or what period I'm defining. How frequently do I charge my customer for the use of this service? Is it monthly, quarterly, annually? You have the ability to do that. And then specify what those recurring fees are. So we support multiple subscriptions for an application. You could have a subscription, let's say, for example, that is a free trial. You can offer your services for a free trial basis for a period of time. And then when you get near the end of the trial, the SurPaaS platform will automatically send out an email to notify you that within X number of days, your free trial will expire, and it will give you the ability to upgrade to a paid subscription. So that's what we show here. This is the upgrade matrix. So in this case here, I have 2 subscriptions for this application. If I start off with the free trial, then I can specify that I can upgrade to the paid trial is my upgrade path. Now, how do you bring on new tenants onto your platform? So this is an example using our website, to where we have a link on there that says register as a SaaS customer. That clicking on that link will take you to our self-registration process. So this is something else that you don't have to build. It's built in for you. There's 2 methods of registering tenants. One is the self-registration process, and then there's also a process where the SaaS administrator can register tenants themselves. So in this case here, the tenant would fill out the information about their organization or company, their billing address, and there's a link for terms and conditions. The terms and conditions are defined by you, the SaaS provider, within SurPaaS on the customization features, as well as where the logo where it says Saas-Cockpit, that can be branded with your logo as well. The next step in the registration process is the defining the administrator's name and password. So for every customer, they have an administrator of their account within SurPaaS, and this information will allow them to, when they log into SurPaaS, they can do things like look at past invoices that they've been charged for, look at subscriptions that they can upgrade to, as well as look at all the applications that they've subscribed to. Now, if I'm, in this case here, I'm subscribing to a application that is that has a cost to it. Now, if I subscribed to the free trial, I would not be asked for any billing information at this time. Not until I go through the upgrade process and say I want to upgrade to the paid subscription, do you provide any billing information. So in this case here, I'll put in my credit card information, and then I'll go to the next step, which is review the information that was already provided, the registration information that I provided. And if I'm happy with what I see there, I can then proceed on to the next step. I submit this, and then in the background, what's happening is the SurPaaS platform is doing a number of automated processes on your behalf. One, the tenant is being created in the billing system. The billing system is going out to the online gateway, or the payment gateway, to collect the payment. And then once the payment is collected, a statement is sent to you via email. The tenant administrator is then provisioned or created into Saas-Cockpit, the management console, and the application instance is being created in the cloud automatically. So if you selected one or more instances in the deployment flavor for your application, each one of those instances being created in the cloud. The application database, the web server, and any other products that are needed along with your application are being provisioned into the VMs in the cloud. So all that is happening automatically during the registration process. Once that is complete, the tenant administrator will receive their Saas-Cockpit account credentials, as well as the tenant administrator will receive the application credentials so they can start using the application. So this is the email that is sent out. In this case here, this is for the application. So the email, we have what are predefined email templates within SurPaaS that allow you to go and customize it with the wording that you want. It's automatically, we have keywords within the email template that allow you to specify things like the SurPaaS provider name. You can pull out the tenant name so you can make the emails very personalized, as well as you can specify if you want the public URL or private URL presented to the customer. And then once they click on the link, they have the access credentials to log into the application and start setting it up for their community. This is when I log into the Saas-Cockpit account. This is the information that I, the tenant, will see for my account. I have the ability to see a dashboard which shows me the applications that I'm subscribed to. It'll show me the number of users that were created for that application. At this time, we just set up a new application, so it's fresh. It just shows me the application name, and no users have been defined yet. Also, it shows me the subscriptions that I've signed up for. And then if I'm using VMs, it'll show me the VMs that I'm using. If I'm a tenant on a multi-tenant application, I will not see anything about the instance because that is, I don't have my own private one. I have a shared instance, and that information is kept for the SaaS provider to look at. And what they would see is, you have the ability to see here how much storage is utilized, as well as if I go to my Streams tab, I'm able to see additional information about my VMs, such as CPU utilization, number of online users, so I can see throughout the day how the application is being accessed, and then as well as the storage utilization in that area as well. Network, I'll be able to see what network traffic is being generated against that VM as well. Do we have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, you talked about branding.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, you've talked about branding, and you said that we can put our logo there. And what about the URL? Will it also have the URL of our organization or the current organization?
No, your URL would be customized, not customized, it would be your domain name.
Okay, so that means if our domain is resilient system, that is the one that will show.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you then.
And it'll probably be good to go back Go back to slide. Do we have another question? Can you go back to slide 10, please, Jay?
Yeah.
So on slide 10, we'll kind of just summarize the SurPaaS features. Number one is you have the flexibility of defining your tenancy model. And then on the operations management capabilities, you have the ability to see, what your tenants are using as far as applications, subscriptions, and as well as to be able to manage the VMs that they're running in if they are using virtual tenancy. If you have a multi-tenant application, you'll be able to look at how that application is performing, the number of tenants using that application, because at some point in time you may have started off with a small number of tenants, and as it grows, you're seeing, oh my gosh, I need to do something to my CPU utilization is spiking at 80 to 90% during busy hours. So it gives you the visibility to monitor your applications on how they're running in the VM, as well as your tenant applications, how they're running. So it gives you complete visibility through a single management console to manage all your customers wherever they are. The other thing that I didn't point out on the operations side is the application lifecycle management. As you deploy applications, we all know that software is not perfect. We need to do things like upgrades for patches periodically, as well as we'll have new releases. So the Saas-Cockpit provides you the capability of viewing by tenant what version of the application that they're on and what patches have been applied, as well as it provides you the capability of patching your applications automatic through Saas-Cockpit, which also gives you the auditability for your applications to see what version each one of your customers is on. Because you could have custom patches for, let's say, you have a customer with specific customizations. You can apply patches only to that customer. And then you would have an audit of that whenever you go to look at that customer and what applications they have. It'll tell you, what version that they're on, what patch level.
Okay. Next question. Is there another question?
Oh, and just one thing from me, David or Jahangir. Did you have, because I know you SaaSified both Mifos and Mifos X, did you have anything you could show there directly with our application today?
Since I'm not able to show my screen, not really. So we have, but thank you for bringing that up, Ed. We have taken Mifos 2.6 and made that into a multi-tenant application, as well as we've taken Mifos X, which is already a multi-tenant application, and we've SaaSified that. So we've SaaSified that to where we can create a virtual instance for Mifos X and automatically create that in the cloud whenever a new tenant signs up to use Mifos X. And then on the Mifos 2.6, we have the ability to sign up multiple tenants using the same application code and infrastructure. The classification of an application from start to the end is something that can be done within days. Once you have installed your application into the cloud, we are able to take that. And when I say we, it can also be done by you. You can take your application or applications and virtualize them very quickly using the SurPaaS platform. From the time that you install your application into the cloud, test it out to make sure it's working properly. From that point forward to do the virtualization, it's typically, a day or two's worth of work. And it's an automated process that allows you to do all of this. Any questions? Do people have one other benefit of the SurPaaS platform? It's not only Mifos that you can use to offer, your Mifos applications, but if you have, for example, third-party applications, open source. We've taken a number of open source applications like Sugar CRM and BI tools like Pentaho or JReports, and we've made them multi-tenant for customers. And this gives you the opportunity to offer other services to customers other than just the Mifos. Any questions regarding that?
Can you kindly give us an email that we can contact you with for further queries, because I have a lot of questions to ask.
Yeah, so that's natural. So please send us any emails, and we will be happy to do an individual demos for you guys. So sorry, in this particular demo we did not have the specifics, but I think we'll go through our details later on. Whoever is interested, contact us.
Okay.
Yeah, and David, since we have everyone on the call.
The intent of the webinar.
Oh, sorry, David. I was just saying, since we have everyone on the call right now, we could try and take a moment or two if you want to try, getting logged in with your machine again. Because are you on a Windows or are you on a Linux machine?
I'm on the Mac.
Okay. Yeah, I think usually go-to training meeting works fine with Macs as well. So yeah, because it would be good to show the actual Mifos in the SurPaaS environment. So.
Yeah. The problem that I had, Ed, is that when I brought up the GoToMeeting application and I enter in my ID, it kind of goes into a circular request. I put the meeting ID in, then it brings up the email to register, and I put that in, then it brings up the meeting ID again. So it just, I'll try it, but it didn't seem to work very well.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So the slides will be available through Ed, and please contact him later on. I think he'll be distributing it.
Yeah, and we've also recorded the audio in the slides as well, Jahingir. So we have this as a screencast and recorded webinar that people can view on their own time. So.
Great, thank you.
Steve, was there anything you would like to add, Steve?
Sorry, I just had to take myself off mute. No, I'm really excited about these guys, and I've appreciated their help with a couple of projects that we've been working on. Certainly, where I came across Corent was recognizing that a number of our partners are looking at larger deals where we're deploying tens or potentially hundreds of microfinance institutions. And I know from previous experience that the more institutions you're running, the more different flavors and nuances you may be working with, the more complex your hosting environment will become. And certainly for some of our partners who work globally and having to manage across time zones, across continents, it's critical. And for our larger clients, certainly, with Mifos, we see kind of giants and dwarfs. So you have some larger clients that then have more sophisticated environments, and they can be running, tens of additional other applications, and being able to manage that all in one location and with one tool particularly if you're doing it both in an outsourced environment, I think is critical. So you can run all of your small clients in one flavor and your large clients in another flavor. And I think, as David was saying at the end there, start to really give some thought to what are the other products and services that you need to provide around Mifos. Document management, reporting, and even basic things like email and collaboration tools. So certainly as our partners build out in 2014, both in scale and scope, the complexity of managing those environments will increase almost exponentially. So having a tool like SurPaaS can be a great benefit.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd add that stood out to me, apart from all of these technical and configurational benefits that Steve noted, is just the ease of onboarding new customers and the self-registration mechanisms for which customers can be brought on, with either a trial period or no trial period, and then being able to, allow them to monitor and handle all that billing. So that stood out to me as one of the nice benefits of the overall solution, apart from all the control and flexibility you have around the different cloud environments and configurations that can be supported, all from a graphical user interface.
No, that's true. I mean, it's really, I think what they've done a really good job here of looking at operations and administration as a holistic environment, and the fact that will can save you FTEs as you roll out into scale.
Right. So some of the prospects or customers that we have today go through a very laborious implementation process for each one of their new customers. We have one customer that takes probably 2 to 3 days to install a new customer. And once we virtualize their environment, and new customers, once they register, they are operational. When I say operational, the application is ready for them to start using within minutes. Typically like 5 to 10 minutes, that their environment is up and running in the cloud, in the deployment model that they have selected, and this saves you an enormous amount of time getting people up and running on your application. One thing that may point out that I don't think I made clear, and that is we ourselves do not provide a billing system. We integrate with other billing systems like Chargeify, Zora, and if you have a billing system that you currently use that you want to continue to use, as long as it has APIs, we're able to integrate with just about any billing system that supports APIs. And so that's a benefit to you, so you don't have to change any current system that you're using to be able to take advantage of the SurPaaS capabilities.
So thanks again.
And like Jay says, we'll be able to, we'd be glad to entertain anybody who has specific needs. It's easier, this is a generalized presentation. Hopefully it covered everything that is important to you in scaling your business. And we'd be more than happy to give demos to customers as well as have discussions with them on their specific needs and how we can help you grow your business easily with using SurPaaS.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jahingir and David, for presenting to our community, and I'll make sure everybody has a link to the screencast, and then I also have a link to your slide deck after the meeting, and then I'll also send to you guys the list of registered attendees so you have their contact information and can reach out as needed. So.
Okay, thank you very much once again for everybody attending the session. and we apologize for the technical difficulties because of which, first of all, there was some delay and we couldn't show you exactly the Mifos in action live demo. So hopefully, on your request, we can show you individually.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, and thanks to all the folks from the community who came out for the webinar. And just so you know, we're going to have a webinar on our product roadmap this upcoming week on the 13th. So please register for that if you haven't done so yet. So take care, everyone, and have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.